So in kickboxing or fighting let alone, there's this quote that exhaustion makes a coward out of all of us. And I don't know who said that, but it couldn't be more true. And a lot of people that I coach, they completely, I guess you could say, quote unquote, just blow their load. And pause. But the reason why I say that is because they go too crazy. Okay, they feel like just because they're in the pressure that they're in a fight or a sparring match, they completely just go completely ham when it comes to like kicking and punching. And then by the end of 15 seconds, they have nothing left. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you the one skill that you can last your opponent so that technically you'll never have to lose if you learn this skill. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chris. Welcome back to Sicat Kickboxing Club. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, only if you get value out of it, okay? And share this video to anyone that wants to learn the art of kickboxing. I enjoy doing these videos and it'll really help the channel out. And also tune into my podcast here, the Speakeasy podcast. I talk to martial artists, hobbyists, practitioners. You could get a lot of value out of that especially if you're beginning and you're really trying to learn. It's more of a mindset thing, and you get tips and tricks on how to fight better. So I'll get right into it. What I was saying in the intro of the video couldn't be more true. Exhaustion does make a coward out of all of us, because technically you can't do any more when you completely run out of breath, right? If your breathing's off, if you completely, like I said, go crazy, just doing crazy punches and, you know, doing knees because you want to take someone out, that's a terrible, personally for me, that's a terrible approach when it comes to maybe a competitive match or maybe self-defense out in the street. And I know how that feels like, because when you're first starting off, or even if you haven't had a competitive match, or you're still in the habit of like wanting to attack first and then completely going crazy because you want to knock someone out within like the first minute of you know, your match or whatever it may be, I think that's the wrong way to go about it. Now, I always like to say never, and I completely understand that concept, right? Like you want to get in and out. And kind of contradictory of me, but that's what I would do in a street fight, but I'd do it very, very technically. Like my breathing would be on point, my defense would, you know, wear them out. And that's exactly what I want to talk about. Now, I've talked about this in prior videos, but the number one thing that you could do, and I'm redoing kind of this video because I still see it in a lot of people that I coach. And quite frankly, it's a big peeve of mine now. Don't get me wrong, I used to do the same thing, but I've learned. But then when I see it, I guess I'm projecting that it was kind of like what I hated about my game when it came to fighting or kickboxing when I first started, okay? That's why I wanna point this out. Now, anytime we'll talk about in like a self-defense sparring kind of aspect to it. Number one, you really have to pace yourself. Before I get into the nitty gritty of like the one skill that, you know, that will help you out and outlast everyone, you have to like pace yourself, right? I know that things could get really, really wild in a fight, but you don't want to go crazy because that's just a means to your end. Like if I saw someone with just going crazy on me and then starting literally using all they have for like the first minute of our match, or maybe whatever it is, whatever scenario in a street fight or just a sparring match, a basic sparring match, I know that I have the advantage psychologically and physically, okay? Because as a fighter, as a trained fighter, you kind of know these things, and it's instinctual to your body. I'm gonna know that in your body language, you're gonna start breathing hard, your arms or hands are gonna start going down. You're a lot more stiff because of your like nervous system, because you know, you just pretty much just blew all you got. And as trained fighters, not just me, we all see that. So going back to my students, they have a tendency when they're sparring, and I understand, again, I understand in the very beginning when you first start, or maybe a few months in, you still have this twitch nerve to where you're just, right, you're going up, and then you're kind of like backing up this way. The problem is that when you do that, and yes, it does take some time training to train these, but then when you do that, you're paying attention to not getting hit, and you're actually not paying attention to where the angles and the punches or the kicks or the knees or the elbows are coming from, because you're too worried about pretty much getting hit in the face. So you're backing up like this. And I notice a lot of my students do that, and it's okay. It's okay. We all have to start from somewhere, but that is the one thing that I will teach them is, and this is the point of the video, is to stay in the pocket, meaning to stay in the range right here, that it's either boxing range, you could touch them with the jab, or kicking range, so it's a little bit further from a boxing range. The reason for that is that so you get comfortable with staying in the fight. Because when you're actually running just to like back up, and then kind of come in and then back up again when they start attacking you, and you're not intentional with it, you're absolutely doing nothing. That's not even fighting, that's just running at this point, right? And don't get me wrong, a little bit when you get advanced, more advanced, and you actually do things with purpose. And what I mean by that is that if you're backing up to like bait them or like to kind of draw them in, then yes, you can like back up, but it's with intention. But most of the beginners that I see, and I'm guilty of this when I first started, is that they just start backing up, right? They're just kind of backing up. Now, the key point that I wanted to make in this video is that the very skill that you need is that you need to stand in the pocket and be confident about your defense, okay? I mentioned this in the prior video, but it's the one thing that I teach people that are going into competitions or that just want to spar or for self-defense purposes. It's very, very important for self-defense purposes. So when I teach my newer students this, I'll tell them to kind of get in the habit when you're shadow boxing to boom, boom. Look at this camera actually, wider angle. So boom, boom, right? Windshield wiper, check out that video. I did a video on that as well. Here, you're windshield wiping. You don't want to shell up just like this. So you're gonna use your other defenses. Look, you got the long guard, right? And I'm talking about first the upper part of your body. You got the long guard. You have this, right? You have the shell, but don't stay there because you're a human punching bag. You have the here frame. You have the, modified Philly shell that I like to do, right? That's a little bit more advanced. But then you're just mixing it up, right? You're doing this, you're long guarding, you're windshield wiping like a car windshield wiper. So here, okay? And then if you look here, you're going to check, right? You're going to do this, you're gonna do this with your leg, check, cross check, and all that, and block, baseball block. If they go up for a kick with a knee, you could back up. But the whole point is that you want to stay in the pocket. You want to stay in range over here with the bag. This is range right here, and then you're just gonna stay there. That's what I tell all my students to do, is just to stay in the pocket. I know it could be scary, but I'll partner them up with someone that's more experienced so that they can quote unquote play. It's like play sparring, all right? When you play sparring, you're literally just playing. It's kind of like when you're a kid, when you're in the playground. You're just kind of, not hitting them with full power. You're just doing this, right? You're just kind of tapping them. It's almost like you're playing slap fight back when you were a kid, right? You're doing that, and then even when you kick, it's controlled. It's boom, right? You're touching it. When you get more advanced, you're just kind of touching them right here with your teeth, and then boom, boom, you're touching. You're not actually like hitting them with all your power. Now, that's a big thing in Thailand. They actually, in Thailand, they do that a lot because you'll get more development out of it if you actually hard spar. Now, there's a time for hard sparring so that it's to keep yourself honest, and before you get into the competitive match, you actually have to get a feel of what that feels like, right? The actual fight. But then when you're in the practice room, to refrain yourself from getting CTE, brain damage all the time when you're hard sparring, well, you're just tapping, you're playing around with like new moves, right? You're playing around with new moves. But that's what I mean. So the whole point of play sparring is that so you could work on your defense, which is the whole point of this video, okay? It's to quote unquote, again, stay in the pocket, stay in range. That's what pretty much that means. This is out of range, you're way out of range, I can't touch you, right? With my foot. Now we're in kickboxing range, I can touch you here, right? Over here, look at this camera. I can touch you here, I can kick, I can low kick because my legs are longer than my arms. But even still, if I was in boxing range, then again, if you could touch them with your front lead hand with a jab, you could touch them anywhere, right? There. I tell people to stay in there and play spar, okay? So even with, and it's even better with 16-ounce boxing gloves on because they're literally pillows, right? And even when you play spar as well, like I completely understand that you'll still get that natural reaction because biologically that's what we're kind of wired to do, right? Because we're in this like defense, fight or flight mode state that we're used to like getting in like standing fetal position, kind of like this, right? Like we're scared, like we have to drop down. We don't want to see it because we don't want to see ourselves getting hit, you know? It's like we'll look away. But when you start getting trained to fight, which is what I teach my students, that's why I'm making this video, is to stay there so that it gets in your second nature. It acts as, yeah, pretty much like what you would naturally do if someone came to hit you. So, for example, if someone came to hit me, I'd naturally block. I wouldn't look away like this. I'd naturally boom, boom, boom. And I know I put in the repetitions and that's what we're here for, right? Reps are king. And my point is just get used to doing that, okay? Get used to staying in the pocket. And that is the one skill that's going to get you, that's going to make you outlast whoever you're fighting, all right? Especially if they don't know how to pace themselves. And even if they're a seasoned fighter, it's pretty much the guy, not always, but it's pretty much the guy that can outlast the other guy, right? That's why they, in real fights, they put on this poker face, right? They're like, but then they're hurting, they just got hit with like a hard leg kick or like a hard punch to like the chin and they're about to get knocked out. But then they'll do their best to put on a poker face just so that the other guy doesn't know that they're tired, right? Or they're hurt. That's the whole point. Trust your defense, windshield wipe, long guard, Philly shell, back away, slip, slip. Like use all your defenses, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna tire the guy out, and most likely even if he paces himself, if you can outlast them with defense, because I am a true believer that defense wins championships, right? Like that's the old sports term, is that you can literally beat out anyone. You can beat out anyone, and trust me, I trained at a martial arts gym that has the best in the world, like the best in the world coming in there, and I'm very blessed and lucky enough to learn from these guys, and that's one of the key elements to be able to win a fight pretty much in all sorts of fights, in sparring, in self-defense, in a real actual fight. You have to learn how to pace yourself and stay in the pocket. But the point of this video is stay in the pocket. Learn to get hit, right? Literally. But then as you get more confidence with your defense, right? And you're planted and you're not shying away there anymore, then you will outlast your opponent. That is truly one of the best skills that you can possibly do, to be confident in your defense. Because once you're confident in your defense, then you can smell blood in the water when they get tired. and then it's pretty much over, right? Honestly, once they start, you notice them start backing up, then you can kind of come in, right? You could kind of come in, they're backing up, and you could kind of now come in and then just work them, just grind them out. What I mean by grind them out is that you just pick them apart, right? Without like quote unquote blowing your wad. I'm not gonna go ham when I see them get tired, but oh, boom, boom, boom. Or, I mean, it's not wrong if you go ham because they're completely tired, and then if you wanna go for the finish, go for the finish, okay? But personally, I like to get technical with it. I like to take my time, honestly, because I am confident in my defense and I'm confident in my offense. I've been doing it for a while, but you will too if you practice these things that I'm telling you in the video. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and again, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Like this video if you got value out of it. Also, share this video to anyone that wants to learn the art of self-defense and kickboxing for confidence or fitness, whatever your means is. And check out the podcast. I talk to a lot of martial artists, and you could get a lot of value out of it. Check out my website, chrissicat.com. Join the email list, and also comment down below and tell me what you think of this video. I always enjoy your feedback. I like interacting with my audience. So let me know what you think. I'll see you on the next one.